Starting out week 8 of the Frostburg Sports Awards, and we have Gavin Lavat, who had a career day on Saturday against Fairmont State, rushing for 190 yards and 5 touchdowns against Fairmont State, and he is our male athlete of the week. Gavin, I just want to get your thoughts on your performance overall for the weekend.
I think I played a pretty good game. It was way overdue to hit a big run. It felt really good to see daylight like that, and put me back on track for the school rushing record, so that felt really good.
Wanted to take it back a couple of years, and you joined the program in 2015, a year in which the team was good, but then a couple years later they got really good. Had the couple of only one-loss years, 2017, 2018, making the NCAA playoffs at Division III, and then 2019 joining the MEC. And that year, sort of a litmus test for the team of how good are we really going to be at this level, finishing 8-3. But looking back on your career, just if you could go over some of the memories you have from going to those NCAA tournament games. You had success there going back to 2019, and just realizing what the MEC is like as well.
I definitely missed the NJAC, playing Salisbury and Wesley. Those are big rivals, and it was really fun. But having the opportunity to play Division II is a great opportunity. The talent level's definitely changed. I mean, people are bigger, faster, well coached. But we came in the MEC swinging, and I guess at first we were the underdogs and made everybody change their mind about us. So it feels really good to prove that we're not only good as a Division III team, but we can compete at the Division II level, and we've proven that over and over again.
Yes, we have. And going back, into this game, the last few weeks for you, a little bit of a struggle for the entire team getting the ground game going. You yourself only topped out at 33 yards from the past 3 games, and then to come into this game and break out against the 4th best rush defense in the league in Fairmont State. What was the difference for you guys, and you especially, to be able to break out and get that run game going? Especially, the pass offense wasn't entirely clicking, but they didn't need to because you guys were getting it done on the ground.
I think that's a beautiful thing about our team. I mean, we have a lot of depth at receiver, and I think Fairmont just kind of over-prepared for our receiving core. And like you said, the last 3 games we haven't been having much. We haven't been having a great run game, and I guess they might have under-prepared for us, and that gave us an opportunity to shine, to take over a little bit.
Wanted to talk about your offensive line in front of you, where obviously every great running back is going to have their own skills, but you need a good offensive line so you're not getting tackled in the backfield every single play. And it's still a young offensive line in terms of, you look at their years, and it's a lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors, but you have Andrew Griffith in there as a senior. He's kind of the leader of that line. But running behind them, they kind of create success for you to be able to get in the gaps, get in the lanes. And how important have they been to your success for this year?
Oh, I mean, a running back's only as good as his offensive line. Every running back knows that. So when those guys get out there and they do their job and they do it well, it gives me an opportunity to go make the first man miss and make a big play.
Starting out the second half, you obviously had the 2 touchdowns in the first half. Your kind of specialty of 4 or 5 yards out, hand the ball to our big bowling ball running back, and he's going to punch it in. But the second half, the first play from scrimmage, basically you just cooked it to the house 75 yards. You said that was such a great feeling to get that daylight. What was that emotion like to finally break one off, get the team up by 3-4 scores, and be able to kind of loosen up a little bit in the second half at least?
It felt great. I mean, like I said, I've been waiting all season to hit a big run like that. And as soon as I saw daylight, I guess it was time to go. Malik had a great block off the edge, and he set me up for success.
And then in the day as a whole, setting the school rushing record, 190 yards, tying the MEC record with 5 touchdowns. Just in terms of the career day that you had, did you realize it during the game of I'm doing something special, or you just looked afterwards and you're like, man, I just had the best game of my career?
Yeah, you never notice during the game. I mean, the whole team kind of has a next play mentality. So we don't really worry about the stats until after the game on the bus. But I guess after the long run, people started saying, Gavin, you're on track to break a record. And it started to click. But again, you can't get overzealous about that stuff. You just got to play the next play and worry about finishing the game.
One other player I wanted to talk about was Graham Walker, who's now your starting quarterback. here in his sophomore year at Frostburg. A guy that, we've talked to a lot of receivers on this team where he's throwing the ball, and they praise more than anything his leadership and his toughness and that just always winning mentality. And he really proved that one play in the second half against Fairmont, took a huge hit on the sideline, came back 2 plays later and was the holder for our extra point. But just his leadership and toughness is really what everyone has talked about with him. Is that sort of the same for you of what he brings to this team?
Yeah, Graham's a tough guy. I mean, he's not scared of anybody. You saw him square up with the linebacker. Most quarterbacks, the quarterback's the only guy that has the okay to run out of bounds, and instead he thought, I'm just going to run through this guy's face. So it's good to see that he's not scared. I wish he would have just ran out of bounds, but he took a hell of a hit, and he was back 2 plays later. So he's definitely a tough guy. He's a great leader to have on the team, and he'll have a lot of success here in the years to come.
And one other guy I wanted to bring up was Nate Forte, who's your fullback, and you guys play in a lot of systems together, and I see the smile on your face where, he is much similar to Graham. He's tough, puts his nose everywhere, and a kind of an underrated guy in this offense where, you notice the offensive line, you notice the quarterback, you notice the wide receivers noticing you, but Nate really is the foundation for a lot of that, being the lead blocker and getting to that second level of being able to allow you to get to your spaces once again.
The tight ends and the fullbacks, Nate and Chandler, I mean, they're a huge part of our success running the ball. Nate has a pancake just about every game. I mean, he just full speed at somebody's face every single play, and without him doing that, I wouldn't have the success that I have. None of the running backs would, so he's definitely a big part of our run game.
Going into this week, looking ahead at Alderson Broadus, a team that has kind of struggled in the MEC, a team that we beat up on in the spring, 55-0. But, the preparation going into this week, we know, your head coach, Delane Fitzgerald, says we have to take every game one game at a time. We don't take anyone lightly. Is that the same for you going in as the preparation, where looking on the outside, you might think it's an easy game, but then you still have to execute?
Yeah. If you prepare for a team like you're going to beat them, that's when you play down to their level. So we have to prepare just like we do for every other team. It's just a new week. We just got to win this week, and if we under-prepare, we're setting ourselves up for failure. So we're just trying to go at them like they're another set of grown men across that football.
Well, Gavin, I want to thank you for coming on today. Obviously, with your class schedule and practices and games, taking time out of your day to come talk to us, it really means a lot to us. Want to thank you, and congratulations once again on your career day and for being our Male Athlete of the Week.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, well, stay tuned. Next up, we'll have Kylie Heyne, our volleyball coach, who was named our Coach of the Week. So stay tuned on the Frostburg Sports Awards. All right, back on week 8 of the Frostburg Sports Awards, and I have Kylie Heyne, our head volleyball coach, with me after they picked up 2 wins last week. Coach, I just want to get your thoughts on your team's performance, especially in that 3-2 thriller against Concord, but also the 3-0 sweep against Glenville.
Oh, it was a good week. It was a much needed week as far as the wins and everything. But we had a very interesting day on Saturday, just as far as like the travel to get to Concord. So I told the team after that match, like, we definitely worked through a lot of adversity just before we even got there. So then to like finish the night with a 3-2 win, and like I think stats kind of showed that we were dominating more so throughout the entire match, but it was just a good win. It was a good win.
We'll start with the game against Glenville State at a 3-0 win, where the first set just coming out on fire, 25-8 win. And then the next couple sets, Glenville, to their credit, fought their way back in both of those, but still ending up with the victory, the 25-20 in both of the final 2 sets. But talking about that first set, one thing that I caught my eye when I was just doing the stats is that Bianca, when she's serving, the other team, you just got to go good luck and hope that someone gets a good reception on it, because if not, she's going to punish you.
Yeah, no, Bianca does have one of the best serves on our team. And it's like, I always, and honestly, it doesn't matter who's behind the line serving. I have confidence that we'll be able to deliver a good ball. But it's just something special when Bianca has the ball, especially when it's like game point, whatever it is. It's just like, it's this little breath of like, all right, let's see how this turns out. But I think the fun part was looking at the box score. I was talking with our setter just about like distribution and everything like that, and I was just like, man, we didn't really set a lot. Like, we just didn't have a lot of attempts in general. And when you look at it, we had just as many setting attempts as Bianca had serving attempts. So it just goes to show you, like, she served 17 balls. And, like, that's awesome. We didn't even rotate that many times. We only rotate. She was the first server twice, and that was it. She was only the person that got to serve 2 times. But, yeah, it was good. Bianca definitely has a great serve.
And then another player that caught my eye and has caught my eye in the past couple weeks has been Fiona Gonzalez Medina at the defensive specialist spot. And you're smiling as I mention her name. The first few weeks she was used in sort of a limited capacity, where trying to figure out as a freshman, getting her used to it, and then trusting her more and more. And now it's like you can't play a lot of sets without her, just because of how good she is defensively and being able to set up to get it to Haley in the setter position. And in that Glenville match especially, there were a couple where I'm trying to look up and just, look up and, like, how did she get to that? Like, she has no right, with how, short she is, but she's so good mentally that she can be in the right place at the right time.
I think that Fiona gives so much to the program, not just for her talent. Like, she is a speedy, scrappy defensive player, and the way that she is able, and she can read a ball so well, but, like, the other things that she is able to provide to the team it goes way further than just her athletic ability. Like, the way she sees the court and calls shots for hitters is great, but then on the other end of things, she is one person that I can confidently say can go up to any person on the team and make them laugh, like, within 2 seconds. And I know that's like, oh, well, you want your girls laughing all the time? No, but sometimes, like, you need to be able to snap yourself out of, like, maybe a little funk that you're in or whatever, and she's able to do that. And I think that's an incredible trait to be able to have. But I'm so excited for Fiona. I think she's doing a great job.
It's whenever I watch her in the warm-up, she's always either dancing to the music or she's messing around with, I remember last week, it was McKaylee that she was warming up with, and they were just having fun together. It's a really nice energy to see around her and the entire team during those warm-ups. Another player that caught my eye against Glenville was A.J. Thompson, who has come in and really made that middle hitter, middle blocker position her own this year as a freshman, where, when she comes in, she brings an attack to teams that aren't ready for it. And then she's also a really good blocker in her communication with Haley. The two of them, when they set up their blocks, it's fantastic to see as well.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said with Fiona too, we have some really young players on our team that are definitely contributing a lot, and AJ's definitely one of them. I think that she is very motivated to make sure that she is doing everything she can to make sure the team is successful. So she wants to make sure that she's getting as many blocks as she can, getting kills, being options for our setter, just whatever she can do to, like, earn points for the team. That's what she wants. And she also gives such a great energy also. She's always trying to keep people up. And I think it's funny because when you talk to AJ, she seems a little bit more soft-spoken, but then on the court, hearing her yell for, like, a slide or a one or whatever, it's like she just demands things on the court, which is exciting.
We'll get into the Concord game then, and like you said, the travel issues beforehand, having to use multiple buses, multiple drivers coming in, but then getting down there, and you guys came back down 2-1, win the final 2 sets, and a comeback even in the 5th set, where you guys were down by 3 or 4 points, came back on some good serves from Beverly and Haley both. But that game, just a marathon kind of day where, everything seemed to go against you guys, but you guys came out with the win.
Yeah, no, I think that just kind of, I don't want to call it a theme for our season, but throughout our season, we've been put in so many different kinds of situations. We've been ahead by 7. We've been down by 7. We've been ahead by 7 and lost. We've been down by 7 and won. We've been ahead. We've taken Glenville, beat them 25-8. Been in situations where we're either, like, big gaps, small gaps, being able to, like, finish a win within, like, 30-28, really 5-set matches, whatever it is. Like, we've been really able to, like, see everything. And I think at this point in the season, the team is now seeing, okay, 5th set, 7-3, like, most people would be like, oh man, we're in for it. But it's just like, no, it's 7-3. We just got to work that much harder. So it's never over until it's over. And I think they're really starting to see that. And now hopefully we just start stronger and finish faster.
One player in that match that caught my eye, especially when I'm looking back at the box score, Kylie Thompson-Moran, who was kind of paired with AJ in that middle hitter, middle blocker role, where they can come in for one another and there's not a step that's lost anywhere in there. And Kylie, her season best, got 12 kills in that game. Really strong, and another smart player for you guys, where she knows where to be, is really good on the rotations and where to call out plays as well.
Yeah, no, I actually just met with Kylie today, and I think one of the cool things is, you know, thinking back to last year where we were as a team, and then getting to this year, and I think this year we're so focused on like, oh man, we could be doing this better, this better, this better, but then it's like thinking like, Kylie, do you remember where we were last year? And like just think, you hit over 400 this past game, like that's amazing. And she's like, yeah, it did feel really good. So like, but like that's something that didn't ever happen last year, and being able to hold on to those improvements is huge. And like she's gonna continuously, like she's consistently and continuously gonna get better.
Another player that has stood out to me over this year as a whole is Jackie Sterenberg, who didn't have the greatest of springs this past year. Had a really good sophomore year in 2019, and then kind of took a step back, and then this year has come back. And her and Beverly, both at that outside hitter position, have both supported each other well. Either one of them can come in for the other, and also defensively, she's taken a step up or two this year as well, where it's been a real bounce back year for her.
Yeah, I think that Jackie and Bev are very opposite type of players, at the outside position. And you'll see that you have like your big outside power hitter, and then you might have another hitter who's a little bit more strategic or has a different type of shot. And I think Jackie is really coming into learning how to utilize her toolbox of shots. So in Concord, she was pretty frustrated in the first few sets because she had a really big block against her, and she felt like she couldn't like just power through them. But then in that fifth set, I don't know exactly how many kills she got in that fifth set, but it all clicked. It all came together. She was able to get hands and tool them wide or get hands high. And, I think that's really exciting as a coach to see someone that's frustrating and then it all kind of clicks and then it all comes together. And honestly, to finish on a win, that's even better.
In that fifth set against Concord, a couple of big serving points from Beverly Braun and Haley Delore both to get you guys back into the lead and back into that set to win it out. Two players where, when I talk to them, off the court and just seeing them in the hallway or during the interviews here, it's they're both, Beverly's so bubbly and all full of energy when she's not on the court. When she gets on the court, it's almost like she's got a serious nature. It's game time for her. And Haley, it's almost the opposite. Not that she's serious and everything off the court, but on the court, she just always has a smile on her face. And it's something I noticed that those two just have a good balance on them for the team.
Yeah, and I think that just goes to show like how important, we've talked about like how Fiona brings this type of energy, Haley has an energy, like every person brings a different type of energy to the court, and finding those people that it all meshes with is so important. And I love it. I love Bev being super bubbly and everything, and honestly she is pretty bubbly on the court too, but like she wants to be successful, she wants to succeed, she wants to win, and I like that. Like I like that kind of focus. I think Haley, she's really bubbly off the court and on the court, but I think for her, especially as a setter, you got to make sure you have a good feel for the team and being able to pull people up when they're maybe a little bit down, but then also making sure that everyone knows like, hey, we might be down a few points, but we're okay. So I think that all of that is so needed on the court. If you have a whole bunch of people that are just like totally in their own, like stay focused, can't look at anybody, like no energy at all, it just doesn't make for a very fun match. So like I love that the personalities of our team are starting to come out.
It is one thing that whenever you look at this team play, whether they're winning or they're losing, they're always having a good time regardless, and they just love playing volleyball. Looking ahead to this week, a pretty busy week for you guys. A road game on Tuesday against Alderson Broadus, and then Friday and Saturday, both home matches against Charleston and West Virginia State, two of the better teams in the South Division. West Virginia State, I think, has the best record or tied for the best record in the conference. But, preparing for this week, how do you relay that to the players where, a lot of coaches we talk to, you take it one game at a time. So, they would be focusing just on that away match. But, sometimes you do just get in your head where you look ahead to those 2 weekend matches and you're like, well, we got a big week ahead of us.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of the nature of volleyball, though. So like I think about how football typically only plays 1 game a week, and soccer maybe it's like two games a week. But with volleyball, it's ever since these girls have started club, like you're playing club tournaments where you're playing like 4 matches in a day, and since moving to the MEC, even at my previous institution, we were typically playing like Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. So I think just the nature of playing volleyball, we've always had multiple matches in a week. And honestly, when you only have one, it makes for kind of like, it's a lot of pressure, like you only have 1 match. But so I think that for the team, yeah, we just take it one day at a time. For me and for Kendall, it's like, okay, game plan, AB. Now we got a game plan, Charleston, game plan, West Virginia State. It makes more for a busy week for us in the office and watching film and everything. But I think for the team, they just have to play volleyball, like we've played AB already, so we kind of already know what to expect, just checking to see if everything else is pretty much the same. So like we know those AB pretty well. And then Charleston and State, Charleston has a new coach this year, so like being able to kind of see what's going on, it's just, I think taking a game one day at a time is important, but not getting too far ahead of yourself.
All right, well, Coach, I want to thank you for coming on today. Obviously, you guys have a busy week to prepare, but we really appreciate you being on here, and we wish you, obviously, the best of luck for this upcoming week.
Thank you.
All right, well, we will wrap up the Frostburg Sports Awards next with Lydia Nebiolo, who is our women's swimmer and our athlete of the week for the female side. So be sure to stay tuned, and as always, go Bobcats. Wrapping up the Frostburg Sports Awards here for Week 8, I have Lydia Nebiolo, who's our women's swimmer and our female athlete of the week. She was named MEC Swimmer of the Week last week and had another strong performance over the weekend. Lydia, I just want to get your overall thoughts on how you swam this past week.
I think, considering how early it is in the season, I think I swam remarkably well. And the fact that I was 2 seconds off of a Frostburg record in the 1,000-yard freestyle was very exciting, especially being my first time swimming the event. I thought that was very exciting.
And so going back to last week, when you found out that you were named MEC Swimmer of the Week, obviously you're coming in as a freshman. It's a whole new world to you. The college swimming is much different than high school. But to learn that news and to see the graphic on social media or whatever and the story and all that, what were those emotions like? How did you feel about that?
It was absolutely insane. I was by myself in my room, so I couldn't even tell my roommate. And I fell off my chair. I was doing homework and I got the message from my coach and I fell out of my chair. So it was very exciting, and seeing all the support from my teammates and some of my friends from back home was really exciting.
And so this past weekend, a tri-meet for you guys and facing against Cal and Davis and Elkins. Wanted to talk about the relays first, and the 200 medley relay and then the 200 freestyle relay. Coming in and learning some new teammates and some swimmers that have been here before, a couple of the sophomores and juniors, and then the freshmen you've been swimming with as well. How has it been to coordinate with them and be able to get to know them, to be able to run these relays so successfully so far?
Everyone on the team has been super welcoming from day one. Labor Day weekend, we actually had a cookout on that Monday just to get to know everybody and really start to form that bond as a team. And so a lot of the relays, the people are very similar. And so I've gotten to know a lot of these girls very well.
Going into your individual performances in the 1,000-yard freestyle, which you mentioned, and the 500, a couple of really big wins for you as well. The 1,000 you won by 20 seconds, the 500 you won by 12 seconds, which is a lot in that event. How do you stay motivated, during that swim where you mentioned you were only 2 seconds off the school record, but when you're that far ahead, is it just pushing yourself to just get your fastest time when you know the event's already won?
Yeah, a lot of it, I do swim best when I have a competition next to me. And so if I lack the competition, I just try and push myself to get to the next wall and then get to the next wall and just go back and forth until the race is over, and just keep pushing myself to get to my best, because it is early in the season. But I just want to keep pushing myself to get better and better throughout the years.
And then in these, the individual meets that we have against these teams where you're head-to-head against specific teams, we talked to your head coach, Andrew, last week, and he said that it's very important to, look ahead to the conference meet, where a lot of coaches we talk to, they only take it one game at a time, but he wants to focus on that conference championship. That's the ultimate goal at the end of the year. But how do you balance that between competing against these individual schools where, you want these results and to win those individuals, but, in the conference meet, that's kind of where everything leads up to.
I think I try and take things one race at a time because oftentimes I'm not sure what I'm swimming until a couple days prior to the meet. And so it's easier to just take things one race at a time. And obviously the conference championship meet is super important. At the beginning of the season, we received goal sheets and we were asked what events we'd like to swim for that. So that is the big goal in the back of my mind at all times. But I just like to take things one meet at a time because you never know how you're going to perform until you're up on that block.
Taking those meets 1 week at a time. This week, traveling out to Elizabethtown, a Division III school out in Pennsylvania. But, for your preparation, obviously these meets now, coming in a thick and fast fashion, really, where it's 1 week after the other. And then after next weekend, you get that little bit of a break between Alderson Broadus and the Invitational. But, what's your preparation going into this week where, you guys are on the road every single week until we hit January. So how are you preparing for this meet coming up?
For me, I just try to really get ahead of my schoolwork so that way when the meet rolls around on Saturday, I'm not scrambling to get all my work done on Sunday, the day after. And so I just really try and stay on top of my schoolwork and try and get as much sleep as I can, even though it is hard with the course load and everything. But I just really try and get some sleep and keep ahead of my schoolwork.
All right, Lydia, well, thank you for coming on to talk to us today. Obviously, you've got your sleep schedule, your class schedule, everything, practices, but we really appreciate you being here, and congratulations once again last week for MEC Swimmer of the Week and this week for our Swimmer of the Week and our Female Athlete of the Week.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
All right, well, that wraps up this week of the Frostburg Sports Awards. Be sure to tune in next week as well, and thank you, and go Bobcats.